An and graph is going to be written like the following. You are going to have some x variable sandwiched in between two numbers. And that's how you know that you have an and graph. It's kind of like a Big Mac, I guess. So, let's move on. Our first problem is -16 is less than or equal to 3x minus 4 is less than or equal to 2. Now there's two ways to solve this problem, and I'll show you the first way that's a little bit easier. So pretend that this isn't here for now. If we were going to move the 4 over to the other side, we would use addition. But you don't want to forget that this guy's over here too. So let's do the same thing to him. Now, instead of doing it on just each side of this inequality, we have to do it on the third side as well. So -16 plus 4 is -12. This cancels out. And 2 plus 4 is 6. Now I have to isolate x. I do so by division. And what I do on one side of the inequality, I have to do on the other two sides. The 3 cancels out and I'm left with x. I'm going to rewrite my inequalities. -12 divided by 3 is -4. 6 divided by 3 is 3. I would accept this answer, but if you feel like you need to, you can separate it into two inequalities. Cover this side up and you have x is less than 3. Cover this side up and you have -4 is less than or equal to x. Well, whenever we write our inequalities or our equations, we want to make sure our variable's on the left. So this is a quick fix. All you do, switch them and flip the direction of your inequality sign. That way it still reads properly. Now we have to graph. If x is less than or equal to 3, we're going to color in our circle over 3 and point it left. If x is greater than or equal to -4, I'm going to have a new circle over -4, and it's going to point to the right. This is an and graph. That means you can have your cake and eat it too. So there's going to be some overlap, and that's where your overlap is. So that's what I would accept on the test, is if you shade in where the overlap is. Now take a look. We separated it and graphed it and colored in our overlap. But can you see now how the -4 is the farthest boundary left and 3 is the farthest boundary right? So you don't even have to separate them to know how to graph. You pick those points that they give that you have as a solution. You look at the inequality sign right next to it. You color it in. Then you look at the other number. You look at what's right next to it. Because it's less than or equal to, you color it in again. And you just connect your line. Because you know that x is somewhere in between those two values. And you know that this is an and graph. Which means that there's going to be some overlap. So just make sure that you are recognizing whether you're working with a simple inequality, where it's just one inequality on one graph, if you're working with an or compound inequality, or if you're working with an and graph compound for compound inequalities. And again, all steps apply, and don't forget the golden rule when solving inequalities, and that is, if you were to divide by a negative, or multiply by a negative when you are isolating your variable x or y, then you have to flip your inequality sign the other direction.